So the effect of COVID-19 on refugees and people seeking asylum has really been to accentuate and intensify many of the exclusions and the rights violations experienced by those people. It's also created quite fertile conditions for governments to increase restrictions on movement for people seeking asylum. So for example, for the many people held in camps or in offshore detention, or in prisons, in immigration detention, or in hotels, restrictions on their right to move have become even tighter. And these kind of things have been done on the pretext of public health protections, but actually some of these things we see were planned prior to the onset of COVID-19. For example, in Greece, in the context where I was previously working, the increased use of systematic detention has been on the cards for a long time, and that was something which kind of got passed under the radar during the COVID-19 pandemic. Other impacts, for example, restrictions on procedural rights such as access to lawyers, also became stronger, more intensified during the pandemic. Already in Europe, we had 40,000 odd people kept on the Aegean Islands, and that's something that's been going on for years and years. This year, as a response to increased fighting on the Syrian border, Turkey came true on its threat to open the border to Greece and let people stop controlling their border. Greece responded by suspending the right to asylum unilaterally. This was all before the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is just this idea of crises are often very complex. They're not sort of one-dimensional events. Many states have actually shut down their asylum services, which has meant for the past 2 months or so people have been actually unable to access asylum offices to make an asylum claim. Moreover, it's become much more difficult. It's never been particularly easy to cross borders and claim asylum, but it's become even more difficult during this time of pandemic. In terms of long-term consequences, there's a real concern that some of the measures that have been brought in under this sort of emergency situation are here to stay. For example, the increased use of systematic detention and the rollbacks on procedural rights. We are also seeing a lot more illegal and violent pushbacks in the Mediterranean, for example, and even less oversight because a lot of the organisations that were previously operating had to pull out or were unable to continue their missions during this time.